Internet, Eric here. Well, time to dive headfirst back into the toxic waste that is Tromaville. Today, I'm going to discuss, cut to the chase, Toxic Avenger Part II. Already discussed Part 1, and it's been a little bit, so let's talk Part 2. Obviously, if you know my channel, welcome. I discuss plot spoilers, specific scenes, what have you. This came out in like 88 or 89. Don't remember, obviously, it'll be in the description below. We're now following Toxie, Melvin, however you want to discuss it. He has he has abolished all evil from Tromaville, and he has grown stagnant, bored, depressed. Like he sees a therapist and this and that, and while fighting that depression, he's helping his girl Claire. I believe that is her name in this because they switch her name for some reason, and he's helping at a not really a school, but like a not really an old folks home, but like a assisted living center for the blind. What happens is the evil company known as Apocalypse Incorporated has moved into Tromaville to cause trouble. They convince Toxie that he needs to go to Japan to find his father. While he's gone, Apocalypse causes trouble in Tromaville, and Toxie, while trying to find his father, is attacked by ninjas and bad people and all this jazz. Um, okay, now, first and foremost, as weird as it sounds, this one is less serious, air quotes, than the first one. Definitely more slapsticky. But we'll get to it, and I don't even know why I'm bringing this up because Troma, they don't give a shit about acting. So, really, no one is worth a damn when it comes to acting in this movie. And but I will say this: I like how Toxie's face is now more up front and centered. You actually get to see him talk from the very beginning. They're not hiding his face like they were in like part one. Even though I believe his voice is still dubbed here, is dubbed really well. He's more simple, not like dumb, but just more simple, not serious, more likable, lovable in this one. So I really like what they've done with Toxie. His makeup has improved. Um, the budget has definitely gone up, at least in that department. He still looks kind of like a dried out turd with a droopy eye, but he still looks good, and I like it. His rapport with Claire is really good. He loves her, wants to do anything to take care of her. So Toxie, very likable. Claire, I don't remember if she was this dumb in the first one, but she has moved on to full on blonde airhead here. So I don't really give a damn about her in this movie. Thankfully, she's not in it very much. She's replaced with her counterpart in Japan, which I'll get to. But the only purpose she serves is to have like a sex scene with Toxie, which is pretty amazing, complete with bubbles flying everywhere. Um, but she serves her purpose. Thank God there's not a lot of it. So that's it. Those are really the main characters we find or we follow. Like I said, in Japan, she has a Japanese counterpart, which she's still likable. She has a badly dubbed, which I think is the point, Japanese voice. She's more likable than Claire, trying to help Toxie find his father. Um, but other than that, there's no one of merit in this. Like the lead boss, like the head honcho, I guess you would say, of Apocalypse Incorporated. He looks like Mr. Peck from Ghostbusters. I think that's what they were going for. He's fine. Michael Jai White is his film debut. He's one of the henchmen, and I guess he helped with a lot of the fight choreography. But it was cool to see him. Everyone else, just thugs for Toxie to beat up. There's the hot chick that works for Apocalypse, but whatever. She's the one that convinces Toxie to go to Japan. And then there's the Japanese crime boss, and he's fun because he's just a big fat crime boss with a cigar and a badly dubbed American accent. But this is mainly worth watching for Toxie's lovability, I guess you would say. Um, Violence. Now, this is the. Does it say how many minutes? This is 109 minutes. So I don't know what cut this is. I guess there's multiple cuts. like most Toxic Avenger films. This one is not overly gory. This is the one on Blu-ray. I don't know if it's the director's cut, but the kills are still pretty creative. They're goofier, that's for sure. Like the I guess like the most typical Toxie kill is this is a man is literally in a wheelchair and he's crushed like an accordion. But then there's other goofy shit. No, there is the sushi bar one, but let's get to the goofy stuff. Like one guy, they're in a bathhouse. Like Toxie's, in Japan, he's fighting the bad guys, and they crash through a bathhouse. Naked girls everywhere, naked men everywhere. He throws this fat dude in like one of the baths. The temperature is cranked up, and he literally boils this guy in the water. But what's funny is he's 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 drowning him and boiling him in the water, and then he's running off back to the background. He's throwing in vegetables to make it a soup. Um, I think he throws in like maybe a thing of noodles, and then he takes his mop and stirs them around. That's funny. Um, a lot of the fight choreography is a lot of fun. There is a scene where someone is like the sushi scene I was talking about, sushi or fish market scene, whatever. The person is thrown onto the table where the guy's cutting the fish, and the guy cutting the fish is distracted by one of the henchwomen. She's knocked silly, and her clothes come off, so he's distracted by boobies, and he doesn't see that the bad guy. He's actually chopping up the bad guy, and I think that was added to this. That might have been added into the director's cut because you can see the footage is more grainy when you have the close up cuts of the leg getting sliced up into fish rolls or whatever you'd say, but not too violent considering how bad part one was. But this, like I said, this is goofier. This is more fun. I like when he's fighting a ninja. A ninja has nunchucks, so Toxie grabs. He's in the fish market. He grabs two fish that are fish lined together, and he uses that as nunchucks. It's a lot of fun. It's goofy. It's silly. It's a good fish out of water story. I guess that helps with Toxie's like ability here. Um, there isn't really much to this movie because literally he's in Japan. Oh no, one of my favorite scenes is, I'll say this. It adds to the goofiness of it. Toxie doesn't know how to get to Japan from Tromaville, so at first he tries to windsurf, and that doesn't work. So he literally says he's gonna go to Japan Godzilla style, and then we cut to this beach on Japan, and everyone's frolicking in the water and everything, and suddenly it starts bubbling and bubbling and bubbling and bubbling, and Toxie just emerges out of the water like fucking Godzilla. That's a lot of fun. But after that, there isn't really a lot to this movie. It's literally Toxie fights bad guys, they blow up the Center for the Blind. Toxie goes to Japan, looks for his dad, fights bad guys. Toxie comes back. The end. Saves the day. The end. But if you didn't like the over-the-top violence of the first one, there's of course with Troma, it's unnecessary nudity, but no rape, to my knowledge. Um, if you want more goofy, like seeing Toxie take a dump on the toilet, like, and literally it's just him reading the newspaper and like sparks are flying, through his crotch area. If you want the goofy, the childish, the stupid stuff, Toxic Avenger Part II is definitely the way to go. Um, it's hard to pick which one I like the most. It's kind of like, let's just say, like Gremlins and Gremlins 2. You have the serious, horror element of Gremlins, and then you have the Looney Tunes element of Gremlins 2. Toxic Avenger 1, you have the gritty, dirty, vile, entry that is Part 1. You got Looney Tunes here. Goofy, fun, stupid, lots of chuckles. I do highly recommend Toxic Avenger Part 2. What I like about what I learned about this is eventually I'm going to get into Toxic Avenger 3. I guess the initial cut for this was 4 hours long. A 4 hour long Toxic Avenger movie. Lloyd Kaufman was freaking out, and I think it was his wife who just decided to say, "Hey, make a third movie." And that's literally how Toxic Avenger 3 came about, because he's still fighting Apocalypse Incorporated. So that's really cool. But concerning Toxic Avenger Part 2, highly recommended. Toxie is fun, goofy, childlike. He looks better. Um, some of the slapstick shit with his fights are fun. I love the fish nunchucks. I don't care. It's stupid, but I love them. The wheelchair crush is cool. The chopping up at the fish market is cool. The nudity is less uncomfortable than it is in the first one, due to the lack of attempted rape. It's always a plus in movies for me. Um, just a lot of fun. I love the badly dubbed voiceovers in Japan. They're not trying to hide the fact at all that you can tell that these voices do not fit the people that they're being used on. Um, Leaves it open for the sequel because this was 4 hours long. Michael Jai White, always great to see him. Yeah, so that's it. Toxic Avenger Part 2. Total 180. Lots of fun. Highly recommend it. Give it a shot. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Click the bell. Comment below. All that jazz. Don't know what else to say. Tell me if you prefer this over the original. The usual spiel I use to end these videos, but I do think if you're a fan of Troma, if you're a fan of Toxie, Part 2 is the way to go. A lot of people hate it. I don't. So that's it. I'm just going to say cheers, konnichiwa, sayonara, whatever. That's because he goes to Japan. Stupid, I know. Deal with it.